Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm gonna get started. We're gonna get this party cracking because we got some stuff to talk about, man. I'm telling you, we um, we have a lot happening in the country right now in terms of what Black people are kind of trying to work through and figure out. And and what I want to try to do today is kind of help us answer some of these questions in our own context, with our own truths, with our own methodologies and our own perspectives. And that's probably going to upset some people, probably piss some people off. But that's not a problem for me. I kind of enjoy doing that because when I piss you off, that means that you were listening to something that I had to say. And as we say in Kentucky, the hit dog always hollers. And so anyway, today what I wanted to kind of address has to do with this interesting situation kind of going on in down or up in Detroit. Every time you think the Aretha Franklin funeral is over, something happens to remind you that it ain't over, and it ain't over till it's over, and it definitely ain't over. I saw that this week there was a lot of discussion. I was talking to somebody the other day. There was an older woman I know who watched the Aretha Franklin funeral, and one of the things that she said was she said that there was this great pastor who gave a great sermon, and she was talking about Jasper Williams. Jasper Williams, gave a sermon at the or not a sermon, a eulogy at the funeral. And she said she talked about how much she loved it. She said, "Man, he spoke the truth." And she didn't say "man," but she said he spoke the truth. He told Black people what we need to hear. He told, he really gave a message that actually meant something. And so I was thinking, oh well, who is this guy? I mean, it sounds like he really did a good job. And then I read that the Aretha Franklin's family was apologizing, for what he said. That they were basically saying that his eulogy. Let me see. They said that his eulogy was very distasteful, and I was like, well, that's peculiar. Why is it that she just said that it was the best speech of the day, and the family saying it was distasteful? I said, oh shit, he must have pissed off some white folks. He must have did something that wasn't laid out in the good Negro behavior protocol. So I checked it out. One of my beliefs, and I'll never run away from this, is that Black people need to start learning how to think for ourselves. Black people need to stop letting other people tell us what to think, what to believe, because if you continue to let other people tell you what to think, you're going to continue looking crazy and stupid. You're going to continue looking ridiculous. Now, somebody says speak on Nike. I'm going to speak on, I'll give you a couple of thoughts on Nike. I just want to stay focused on this right now. If you want the short version of my Nike opinion is good for Nike. It was a brave move for them to back Colin Kaepernick. Of course, the rednecks are going to get pissed off and get mad. You live in a very divisive country. It's very difficult to take a stand without starting a war. That's pretty much, in fact, if you want my opinion, I believe that there is a high likelihood that we will have a civil war in the United States within the next 5 to 10 years, because Americans do not know how anymore to hear points of view that they disagree with. Every time somebody hears somebody say something they don't like, it's, oh, I'm unfriending you on Facebook, or I hate you, or what the hell's wrong with you? I need to destroy you. So when you have destroy, well, that's war. That's what happens in war. Go watch videos from World War II, and all you will see is destruction everywhere. No one can build anything when you constantly have war, because you're burning up and blowing up every bridge in sight, tearing down every institution, destroying every other human being you can get your hands on. And it's not healthy. Just so you know, it's not healthy. I'm not in favor of any of that, but it's going to happen anyway, because ain't nobody really caring if I think it's okay or not. People just believe that their version of the truth is the only version of the truth. And if you disagree with me, then you must be stupid. But man, if that's how you think, you shouldn't even be up in here, for real, seriously. Like, critical thinking is critical. We need critical thinking. Anyway, let me go back. See, you got me distracted. You asked me about the Nike thing, and I did this because some people get on me. Some people get mad because they said, Doc, why don't you get to the point? You always rambling. Why are you rambling so much? And so, of course, my response was like, well, fuck you, man. Like, this is my YouTube channel. If you don't like it, then then go watch a comedian or something. I'm sure there's some black comedian in a wig and a dress that'll make you laugh in 30 seconds or less. This ain't what this platform's all about. This platform is for people that want to think, people that want to grow, people that want to be challenged, people that want to figure things out, people that want solutions. And solutions is really actually the theme of today's discussion, really. So check it out. Okay, so here's what went down. So this brother, his name is Jasper Williams. I don't know anything about this pastor. I hear he's out of Atlanta. And he spoke at the Aretha Franklin eulogy, or he had a eulogy at the Aretha Franklin funeral. And he basically, he gave a speech where he had a lot of issues. I had to take notes. I went through his sermon this morning. And yes, Lord Jesus, I went through the sermon this morning and I took notes. I took notes on all the political hot button issues he kind of tapped into that I knew would piss white people off. You see, here's the problem with Aretha's funeral. This is why I turned into a goddamn circus. Is you ain't supposed to have a black church gathering on national TV. You're not supposed to have church in front of the white folks. They are not going to get it. They're going to be offended with every syllable that comes out of our mouth. They won't understand it. They're going to fuck it up. They're going to do what Ariana Grande did and come in there wearing a dress that made what she was looking like she was trying to sell some ass on the corner. Seriously, all the church women in that were watching this funeral were looking at Ariana Grande like, who the hell is, who this bitch think she is? Like, so they were looking at her like, baby, somebody need to cover you up. Seriously, that's what they were doing. They were literally looking at Ariana Grande like, oh, she's not one of us. That's why she thought it was okay to wear that hooker outfit to a funeral. If you look at Fantasia, if you look at Jennifer Hudson, they know the uniform. They had the black dress on that went down to the ankles with the little church hat that I guess you pin that in your hair. And they knew that in church, you don't sing, you're supposed to sing. So you let the words kind of hang out of your mouth for a little bit longer, and people like that. Ariana Grande knew none of that. So she literally came in looking kind of crazy. And then, I mean, let's not even talk about the whole incident of the pastor allegedly groping her and all this. We already talked about that. I'm not even going to go into that. I just couldn't understand. I just didn't get the idea of this, that some people really truly believe that this distinguished man who has this impeccable career with all these accolades he's received over the last 40 years would use the biggest moment of his life to get up on stage and grab some titty. I wasn't saying that I know for sure that the pastor didn't have an agenda, that he wasn't trying to, get cop a feel or whatever. But I was like, why would he use the biggest moment of his life in front of 10 million people to grab some titty? It seems like his titty grabbing, if he was going to do it for the first time, in the church, would happen on a Sunday when the attendance wasn't so high. So that was my whole issue with that. It wasn't to say that I know for sure that something wasn't going on. It was to say that I think a lot of times we see things and we want to believe things, especially when it comes to the black man. I think that we are very quick. All of us, not just white folks, but a lot of us are very quick to accuse black men of doing things that regular people would not do. So that's my 2 cents on it. And that's it. I'm not even gonna go back into that. But anyway, so a couple of things that the pastor jumped into. The pastor, he talked about, his name is Jasper Williams. He was at Aretha's funeral. He spoke on a few political hot button issues, and a lot of people, and they make a valid point. They were saying, well, this is the funeral. This is the wrong time. You're not supposed to become political. And he got real political. He talked about a few things. He talked about the high rate of single parenthood that we have in the black community. He talked about that. I think about 76% of black children are raised without a father in the home. He talked about Black Lives Matter. And he said Black lives will not matter until black people start defending and protecting our lives and taking care of ourselves. He talked about the fact that integration with white folks did not help black people, which I said, I was like, amen, you right. Anybody who can prove me wrong, I dare you. I dare you to show me data. Show me data. Don't just fucking tell me what you think. Show me some proof that black people have benefited from integration. Because the last time I saw a statistic, did y'all know that African Americans are the only ethnic group in America where the average income in your family is lower than it was 20 years ago? Did you know that? So where's all this integration leading to this big gravy train of black progress that y'all think was going to happen? Where's it at? It don't exist. You're more frustrated than you would have been if you had your own schools. You're more frustrated than you would have been if you had your own businesses. You're much more frustrated than you would have been if you had your own communities with your own ecosystems, right? So let's just be clear that what the man said was true. What the man said was true. Now, maybe he said it at the wrong time. Again, maybe a funeral ain't the perfect time to be political, but God damn it, that whole fucking funeral was political. That whole funeral was nothing more than it was a politicized concert. That's what it became. I'm not even criticizing that. She's Aretha Franklin. She sings. Why not have some singers go up there and perform? But you don't think that that this was all a business deal as well? You don't think you think Ariana Grande's people just wanted to do the right thing and show up and sing at her funeral? No, they were like, oh, well, the whole world's going to be watching, and somebody might have paid a fee for some of the people. You never know. You never. I mean, it became kind of a spectacle. It was on national television. The media outlets were making money off of this. It became very business oriented, and it became very political. Look behind the podium. Who was sitting behind the podium? Bill Clinton, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Louis Farrakhan. Political. Why was Clinton sitting on the opposite side of Farrakhan? You know, now I was happy to see the minister there. I think Farrakhan, that's the only legit motherfucker that they had on that stage. Let's just be real. Let's just be clear. Farrakhan was one of the few legit people they had up on that stage. So I love the fact that Farrakhan was on that stage. And it wasn't an accident that Bill Clinton was sitting all the way on the other side from Farrakhan, because they've mislabeled Farrakhan as anti-Semitic and racist and all this other nonsense. It also was political that Farrakhan was, I think, the only prominent person on the stage who was not allowed to speak. Now, do you really believe that if they had said, Mr. Farrakhan, we'd love for you to go up here and say a few words, do you believe that he would have said, well, no, thank you. I don't have much to say. I really don't. I would rather sit in the back and not say anything. No, I'm sure the minister would have had something to say. And I bet your ass he would have been the best speaker on that stage. He would have been the best one. He would have had the most powerful words. They don't want Farrakhan talking to the whole country, because that will give millions of people an opportunity to see how brilliant that man actually is. They'll have Al Sharpton up there because Al Sharpton plays political ball. Again, people saying, oh, it's wrong for him to get political on. No. Again, this whole event was a political spectacle. That's why they put Al Sharpton up there to speak and Michael Eric Dyson to speak, and not Louis Farrakhan. Dyson and Sharpton are down with the Democratic Party. Bill Clinton spoke. He's down with the Democratic Party. Louis Farrakhan is down for black people, and they don't want no real black people up on that stage. And if they could take this pastor back, and they would take him back too, because he was in there really speaking in his own way on behalf of black folks, to black folks, about what black folks need to and can do to improve our condition. Now, let me tell you why the pastor's sermon was right on time and perfect and appropriate. This has nothing to do with whether you agree with everything he said. Nothing. That's not what this is about. This is about hearing from somebody who truly loves you, who's giving his point of view on what you can do to make your life better. He didn't get up there and say, well, all of our problems they exist because of racism and white people. We all know racism exists. We all know white people do what they do. White people ain't never gonna stop being white. But what is important to understand is that white people will never solve your problems. Pay attention, people. Pay attention. Listen to me when I say this to you. Democrats, for example, the Democratic Party is always in your neighborhood on every election begging for your vote. They're always showing up. Bill Clinton showing up at Aretha's funeral. They always coming around when it's time to get some, just like a frat boy trying to get some ass. They always show up, or like a deadbeat cousin that shows up every day every time you happen to get your paycheck. Right? It's the first of the month. He just happens to be in the neighborhood, right? That's what the Democratic Party does. They're there to use you. But pay attention, black people. At what point does the Democratic Party ever present any meaningful solutions to your problems? At what point? They'll talk all day about how badly you're treated or how how evil the Republicans are. But at what point, you tell me, at what point they have pursued any significant party agenda that is focused on solving problems in the Black community. Black people are dying every day, especially in places like Chicago. What is their solution for that? Where's their plan for this? Where's their contract with America, like the Republicans have? Where's their plan to solve that problem? Black people have the highest unemployment rate in America. It hasn't gone down in 30 years. What's their plan to solve the Black unemployment problem? Black children are growing up without fathers in the household. What is their plan to keep the families together? Black people, we're going through all these other issues that are going on in our community, health disparities, educational disparities, all kinds of stuff. What is their plan to solve these disparities? Tell me, what is their motherfucking plan? They ain't got one. That's why you don't see a plan, because they don't have a plan. So when a person, a pastor or a doctor or an attorney or an activist or a scholar or anybody uses a platform to present a plan of action or to focus on specific problems and to say, we got to solve this because they're not going to do it for us, maybe we should hear them out. It does not mean that you should agree. It does not mean that you have to believe everything he said. This man's opinions, some of them may not make much sense to you, but you're supposed to hear them out because these white folks ain't got no plan for your Black ass. And the reason you ain't got no plan in place is because somehow you're thinking that if we sit back and yell Black Lives Matter and talk about how white supremacy is causing all these issues, that somehow that's going to fix the problem. Let's go piece by piece. One thing he tapped on is all the children that grow up without a father in the household. Y'all see it. Y'all know it's an issue. And he said something that pissed the liberals and the feminists off. Again, they got all political because pay attention, when Aretha's family, and I'm gonna go through actually what Aretha's family said about this pastor. And for anybody to say, well, it was wrong for him to get political, well, then why is it that every single criticism they had of him was a political criticism? It was, well, no, Negro, you're speaking out of turn. You're speaking out of place. You're saying things that white folks don't want to hear, and it's going to make them uncomfortable. Well, they can get the hell up out of that church as far as I'm concerned. I'm Black. My daddy's a pastor. I grew up in the church. So my thought was, get them the fuck out of the church anyway. Why are they even there? I'm not saying I hate you. I'm not saying that you can't respectfully observe what's going on in our building, but this ain't your house. You don't make the rules up in our house. That's not going to happen. First issue he addressed, single parent households. The majority of our children are growing up without a father. It is causing significant problems in our community. Much of that is due to mass incarceration, locking up all these Black men whose children are separated from their parents at an early age. But the Democratic Party wants you to think about little Paco, who came up from El Salvador illegally, and how he's separated from his family. But ain't nobody talking about little Tyrone and the fact that he ain't seen his daddy in 14 years. Ain't nobody talking about Tyrone, but they want you to feel bad for little Paco because he's locked up in a Walmart for about 2 weeks. That's point one of why they don't give a shit about you. So these families are broken. Our children don't have fathers. It's causing problems. Most of the little boys that grow up and become gangbangers and get into all kinds of nonsense, they do that because when they hit puberty, about 13, their voice deepens, they get hair on their nuts, they realize they're taller than their mother, they stop listening to their mom, and they start wilding out with their friends. They go out into the world looking for the family they never had, looking for the father they never had, and the father happens to be the guy who is the head of the local chapter of the Bloods or the Crips. That becomes their surrogate daddy, or their surrogate daddy is some rapper they're looking at on TV, and they end up getting in situations that cause them problems. Also, these men grow up without knowing how to be a man, which makes them a horrible man for some woman and some child where they have a bunch of children, and these children do not have a father because their father was never taught to be a man. And the pastor made the point, the accurate point, that a boy is raised to be a man by another man. That a woman has a difficult, if not impossible, time trying to take that little boy and teach him how to be a black man. That is a fundamental fact. I cannot, in a billion years, assume that my daughters do not need their mother. I cannot ever assume that I can raise them to be black women without the help of their mother. So why in the fuck would you think that we can go and make the assumption that a black boy can be raised to be a man without the help of a black man? That's ridiculous. That's insanity. But that's that nonsense that they put into your head, that these children don't need their father. And then when your child is out here wilding out and acting a fool, you don't know what to do. Do you know how many mothers I hear from who call me and say, I don't know what to do with my son. He's 18 years old. He's out of control. He's getting in trouble. He won't move out of the house. I had to call the police to get him out because he thinks he's supposed to live up under me until he's 30. Do you know how many mothers I've heard that from? Do you know how many mothers I've seen? Do you understand, when I was growing up in my household, my father was not there for me. My biological father was nowhere around. My stepfather, though, was the authoritarian in the house. And when me and my mother would get into conflict, I would buck up on my mama because I was taller than her and I was 15. I felt like I was becoming a man. And it was my father who stepped in and shut that shit down very quickly. If he had not been in that household, my mother would not have been able to gain control of that situation. Wouldn't matter how much yelling she did, how much nagging she did, how much threatening she did, whether she went and got a pot and a pan and a belt. She could have did all of that. And I knew deep down when I was 15 years old that I'm stronger than her, bigger than her. She don't understand what it's like to be a man. So I'm just going to let her nag in my ear, and then I'm going to go out and do what the hell I want to do. It takes a man to shut that down. That's why you see these little boys responding so strongly to their football coaches, because their football coaches understand that an aggressive adolescent male will only typically submit to a more aggressive older male. He will only submit to a man who has some authority and some strength. And what's unfortunate is that for a lot of these boys, their first confrontation with a more aggressive adult male is a police officer with a goddamn gun. That's their first interaction with a male who dominates them. And if you ever go to a prison, pay attention. When you go to a prison, some of these prisons look like HBCUs because they got so many black men in these prisons. They don't give the guards no static. They don't give the guards no problems at all. They're like, now think about this. You're talking about the hardest, meanest, most gangster dudes that you've ever seen. The guards come in, they're like, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, right? That's because they've been dominated, but they're being dominated by somebody who does not love them. They're being dominated by another conflicting party. White males are dominating black men the same way one football team dominates another, or one group of warriors dominates another group of warriors. It's not a good thing for our community. So what you need is, in the household, you need a male that's going to dominate the child, that has the best interest of the child at heart, so that he can say, look, I might possibly, I don't want to do it, but I might possibly have to fuck you up right now. I might possibly have to whoop your ass right now because you're getting out of line and you need to be slow. We need to slow your roll. But because I care about you, I'm not going to do that unless you force me to, baby boy. If you force me to, baby boy, to have to get aggressive on you like Ving Rhames did with Tyrese and baby boy, then I'll go there. But I don't really want to go there. And at the end of the day, you should also know that while I might be the guy possibly who ends up having to kick your ass, I was also the man who just fed you, who gives you knowledge and teaches you game. So you know I love you. So you know that the only reason I might have to kick your ass is because I love you. That's what mentorship looks like. And that is a reality that white people will never teach you, because they're all into this touchy-feely, lovey-dovey shit. And they raise their kids with that nonsense. And that's why it's the white kids that are in the grocery store cussing their mamas out because she would not get them the Fruit Loops instead of the Cheerios. That's why it's the white kids who grow up pissed off and frustrated, end up shooting up the whole damn mall because they're mad because their mom wouldn't buy them a PlayStation when they were young. Seriously, it's the white kids who are wilding out, acting a fool in this world because they don't get proper parenting. So I'm not trying to sit here and say that everything we do, every cultural tradition we have in the Black community is perfect. I'm here to say that if we make cultural adjustments and modifications, it should not be due to this idea that white supremacist thinking, or that whites are so superior to us that somehow they have the right and the ability to tell us where we're wrong and what we need to do different and all this other stuff. They constantly interfere with our traditions and our norms and tell us that we're backwards and that we're stupid, that we need to get with the times, we need to be a little gayer, we need to go out and we need to act like men don't matter, we need to do all these things that are inconsistent with what the Black family wants because we're trying to be down with white folks. Seriously, that's your problem. That's why you're confused. That's why you lost. You're lost because you don't know who you are. One of the most fundamental aspects of achievement in this world is to know who the hell you are, so that when people tell you to become something else, you can say, no, I'm good. I'm good. You don't know who you are. If you think about this, a person who doesn't know who they are is like a feather in the wind. A feather in the wind is going to blow whichever direction the wind blows, so it's never going to have a solid foundation. It's never going to be able to accomplish anything, because if the wind blows east, the feather goes east. The wind blows west, the feather goes west. But a person who knows who they are is like a rock. A rock might feel the wind, but the wind is not going to blow the rock out of position. The wind is not going to typically be able to move the rock away from the place that it is located. So Black people have to be rocks, seriously. Smart Black people are rocks, because when you are a feather, what happens is these white folks got you going in every direction, looking crazy. You ain't got no solutions. There's a lot of y'all feathers out there ain't got no solutions for the Black community. I rarely meet any Black liberal who is deep in this Democratic Republican nonsense. I rarely meet any Black person that's deep into these liberal politics who can give a clear solution on problems that affect the Black community, other than let's just go vote for the next Democratic candidate. That's the only solution they can give you. They can't tell you anything about building industry. They can't tell you anything about us controlling our schools. They can't tell you anything about us making our neighborhoods safe. They can't tell us anything about building strong families. All they can tell you is, well, Senator so-and-so is running for office, and he's going to be coming to speak at the church, and we got to show up. We got to rock the vote. We got to rock the vote. That's the only thing they can control. I read a story today that said a Black billionaire wants to help Black people, or not even a Black billionaire, it's a billionaire, wants Black people to get ahead, so he's going to invest $30 million and give Black people out to vote. Well, I'm not trying to say voting is wrong. I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong with you if you vote. If you want to vote, go vote. Good. Tell me what happens. Tell me how it was when you come back. I'll be here talking to Black people, solving problems. I might not be with you at the polls that day. I ain't gonna lie. But it's okay. I'm not gonna make fun of you. I'm not gonna clown you. But when you come back, I want you to show me specifically how you putting that person in office has made your family stronger, or has made your community safer, or has helped your children get a better education, or has helped you bring some money up in that motherfucking house. I need you to show me that. If you can't show me that, then basically what you did was you engaged in what some might call a feel-good exercise of symbolism. Symbolism's cool. Symbolism makes you feel good. It's like taking a heroin needle and pumping the heroin in your arm so that you can pretend like you don't have problems for a couple of hours, right? It's fine. Why actually solve the problem when you could just, get high and pretend like the problem doesn't exist? That's what we do. We like to get high. That's what I guess that's the solution. So anyway, let me keep going. So first of all, I want to tell everybody, some of you were coming in here like, what are you talking about? And some of you are like, man, fuck you boys. Well, good. People don't like what I got to say. I love telling people to fuck off. I swear to God, I love it when people leave my channel, because it makes it easier for me to talk to the people that get some of what I'm saying. And I ain't easy to understand. I swear to God, I'm not. I know that I'm crazy, but I don't care. I'm going to just let it flow from the heart. And if whatever comes out of my mouth is what's going to come out, and I'm not apologizing for shit. By the way, do not forget the All Black National Convention is at the end of this month. If you want to learn more, it's in Philadelphia. Go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Dr. Claude Anderson will be there. Jay Morrison from the Tulsa Fund will be there. Kenny Gamble and iBuyBlack.org. They are the co-sponsors. Attorney Nicole Compton will be there. Michi X from Fly Nubian Queen will be there. Michael Imhotep from the African History Network will be there. Jamal Brewer from Black Knowledge will be there. These are major platforms for Black people that you should check out. It's going to go down. It's going to be awesome. It'll be the best family reunion you've ever attended. allblacknationalconvention.com. Also, if you want books for your family, books that I believe Black children should read, go to drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. Now, let me hop back in here and talk more about this. Okay, so this pastor, Jasper Williams. Jasper, if you're watching, either Jasper's going to see this video or somebody that knows Jasper is going to see this video. And I'm here to say thumbs up, my brother. I don't even know. He's a pastor. He might not even like the fact that I cuss sometimes. It don't matter. You did a good motherfucking job, man. I was so proud of you. I was so happy that somebody is actually trying to tell the truth and trying to present solutions. I'm tired of hearing people just tell me about the problems. I'm tired of hearing people screaming Black Lives Matter. I'm tired of seeing people get involved in nonsense. I want to see solutions. So another thing he brought up that I loved is he brought up a very interesting statistic, which I thought was great. He said, if you add up the number of Black people that have been killed by the KKK in the last 100 years, it's about 3,000 people, right? Everybody's clapping. They're like, that's right. The Klan, hate groups, Donald Trump, right? So everybody loved that part, right? But then he says something to the effect like, but if you add up the number of Black people who've been killed by Black people in the last year, that's more than the number of Black people killed by the Klan over the last 100 years. People didn't like that so much. Now, that's a nuanced argument to be made, right? Real Black people get that. Real Black people understand. Like, y'all know when you got the virus in your neighborhood. Y'all know the people in your hood that you don't really want there. But because we have this protocol where it's like, let's stay on code. We don't want to air our dirty laundry. We don't talk about that. But y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all know there's probably somebody in your neighborhood where you're like, man, I wish that nigga would move, right? Seriously, that's literally what some of us will think. I'm not trying to use the N-word, to be fallacious or whatever, but it's true. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So anyway, so he basically makes the accurate point that Black people aren't really being killed mostly by white people. Black people are mostly being killed by Black people. Now, why is that? Well, we know white supremacy is always in the equation. Y'all go to Southside Chicago, Bloomberg wrote an article where they linked the majority of the killings in Chicago to one drug cartel coming out of Mexico. Illegally. I'm talking breaking through the border. That's why I'm not going to get on this bandwagon with illegal immigration. No, I'm like, look, if you want to come to the country, just get registered and documented and it's all good. But you're trying to break across the border. I'm not going to act like that don't matter. Especially you violating a federal crime. I'm supposed to look the other way like it didn't happen. But I know 20 or 30 Black people still locked up for violating federal crimes that were less severe. And they were Americans. They're American POWs that are still locked up in our penitentiary system. Brothers that were literally got popped on a nonviolent drug offense, didn't even get caught with the dope, didn't get caught with no weapons, but got hit with a RICO charge and got 10 life sentences. You expect me to feel bad for some people that want to break into the country illegally and act like they didn't break the law? I don't get that. I don't go for that. So anyway, white supremacy, we know white supremacy is always connected to the craziness that's going on in the Black community. We know this. This is a fact. But we still got to figure out what the solution to this problem is going to be. Now, here is your issue, Black people. And I'm hoping the Black people who don't like what I'm saying, who think like so who kind of, I think somebody called me a coon. Well, you a coon too, you dumb coon ass motherfucker. So anyway, so here's the question. Here's the thing. And I know y'all, some of y'all get mad when I cuss and get silly, but I don't care. I think maturity is a little overrated, to be honest with you. Here's the issue. Here's your dilemma. Tomorrow, we could wipe out every single hate group in America. Every hate group, all of them gone. Alt-right, KKK, neo-Nazis, all of them gone. Like, we could literally take all those people, put them on, take them to a mass grave and bury them all alive tomorrow if that were to happen. Let's assume that they did that. They just exterminated every hate group in America. So no Black people being killed by hate groups anymore. Not gonna happen. Then let's say that we make a new law that says every cop who kills a Black person for any reason is gonna get the death penalty automatically. So we could end every police shooting in America like overnight. Let's say that we just made that rule and just basically the cops would never kill another Black person again. Even if we got rid of every hate group and got rid of every bad cop, Black people would still be dying at an astronomical rate, especially the Black men. Even if you got rid of the KKK and the alt-right and all the other hate groups and they never killed another Black person, even if you got rid of every single cop and they never killed another Black person, you would still have a death rate in the Black community that damn near matches the death rate you have right now. So somebody explain that void to me and why that should not leave me concerned. Somebody please explain it. You can't. You can't. You can't argue with the logic being presented to you right now. So what I'm simply trying to say is that at some point, after we finish dealing with the hate groups, at some point after we finish getting pissed off at every cop that we see, we're going to have to look in the mirror and say, what's happening in our space where some of these Negroes are running around shooting down Black men? Because I'm going to tell you, my whole life, I'm not a young Black man anymore. I can still be shot. I mean, the bullets don't have an age restriction last time I checked. But the whole time when I was a young Black man worried about getting shot, my homeboy Greg Wilkins got shot in the head in front of his daughter when I was 25 years old. I had just gone to his house a couple of days earlier. My whole life when I had that fear of dying as a young Black man, I wasn't really thinking that I was going to get death from a cop or a member of the KKK. I thought it was going to be some dude who decides to kill me because I was dating his girlfriend, or some guy who shot me in the club because I stepped on his shoe. Y'all know that shit's real. Y'all know that stuff happens. So what I'm saying is that this man bringing up Black on Black crime, well, y'all might think it's a political no-no and that it's taboo to talk about it. It's not taboo. When you make it taboo to talk about it, then that means the problem doesn't get solved. That means you end up sitting here looking stupid, engaging in what we call mental masturbation in academia. Academia, the term mental masturbation is when you are basically engaged in this thought exercise that makes you feel better, but it doesn't accomplish anything. Literally, you're like, oh, well, Black Lives Matter. Go get the cops. Yeah, let's go get the cops. Absolutely. Dirty cops, all of them go to prison. No excuses for that kind of behavior. Oh, well, it's the far right. It's the Donald Trump supporters who are, okay, yeah, let's, fuck them. They suck. They're terrible people. But at what point do we say, okay, even if we deal with all of these other people, we still got these other problems. And the only place we can look at now is our own community. And here's something deeper. Here's something that's really going to scare the shit out of you. Nobody is interested in solving these problems. So if we don't solve these problems ourselves, then they will never be solved. Again, I dare you. Show me any example of a nationwide plan from any group outside the Black community that will deal with those two issues alone. The single parent problem, children growing up without a father, and Black men dying in the street. Show me a plan. So, here's what was really kind of happening too with this. With this guy's speech, Pastor Jasper Williams, his brother, he was really showing something that people don't want to talk about. Is that Black people are actually kind of conservative. We're not like Republican Party conservative, because Republican Party conservative comes with like Confederate flags and shit. We can't be down with none of that. In fact, I think the Republicans don't even realize how many Black voters they lose because they hold on to this racism, right? I mean, I went down to Texas and saw a damn statue in front of the damn state capitol that was honoring Jefferson Davis. And I'm like, I can never be associated with anybody that's going to honor Jefferson Davis. Jefferson Davis was the head of the Confederacy. He wanted to kill Black people. He thought we were animals. Like you give us no choice. But Black people actually are pretty conservative. A lot of the stuff on the liberal agenda makes your stomach turn, makes you want to vomit. Seriously. A lot of Black folks, especially up in the church, they ain't down with that liberal nonsense. A lot of the stuff the liberals say, whether it's stuff on feminism or immigration, abortion, whatever you want to talk about, a lot of times we're like, man, you can lose us with that shit. We can't, we're not interested in any of that. So, I personally think that at the end of the day, when it comes to people like this pastor, they want to shut him up. They don't want Black people like that to talk. They don't want Black people like him to have a voice. They don't want Black people like him to have a platform for the same reasons that they didn't want Farrakhan to talk. Because if you listen to Minister Farrakhan Minister Louis Farrakhan has a lot of ideas that would be defined as pretty conservative. And the Farrakhan ain't no textbook liberal. And that's why the liberals can't stand him. I mean, Farrakhan, he calls it as it is. He'll talk about what the Jewish community has been doing to Black people, where they pretty much operated as our version of Adolf Hitler. They literally have. I mean, many of them run these record labels that put out music that literally says things about Black people that they would never allow Black people to say about them. They would never allow us to run a record label where we're referring to Jewish people in derogatory, crazy ways and being incredibly disrespectful. They wouldn't allow us to do that. They would protest, they would fight it, they would shut it down. But for us, we're supposed to sit here and just be okay with that, and to think you're our friends somehow because you're Democrats too. Is that what it is? So anyway, let me know on YouTube if I froze. It looks like my YouTube feed might have frozen. If it freezes, then I'll just put a recording up of the video. Let me know if you're on YouTube, if you guys can see me. Let me see here. Okay, tell me, somebody say something on YouTube. Let me know if you can see me, because I don't see myself on the YouTube channel or on the Your Black World channel. That's probably what happens. I guess you get shut down when you start talking too much of the truth. The other thing that was interesting about what this pastor said that I thought was great is he spoke up on the fact that Black people economically did not benefit from integration. That when it came to integration, we used to own our own businesses. He talked about that. He said, now you don't have any businesses because you thought that his ice was colder. He didn't use those exact words, but basically that's what it was. We thought that the white man's ice was colder, so we killed our own businesses, we killed our own schools, we got rid of our own communities, and now we're sitting around as a bunch of floating people that don't have anything. We used to be rocks, now we are feathers. We used to know who we were, now we don't. Now who we are can change depending on what the agenda of the Democratic Party happens to be. He was very accurate about that. I was very happy that he said that. He actually used the term when he talked about the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. He said, we've lost our soul. And that's absolutely true. What else did he talk about? Let's see here. The last thing I want to mention was that, I'm making sure here. Okay. Is that, I think that it was kind of shameful on the part of Aretha Franklin's family to go and just attack this man like this. I think that they should be embarrassed by their behavior. I think it showed cowardice. I think that you could have just said, look, I don't agree with everything he said, but he has a right to speak. I think it's okay to allow for freedom of speech and expression. Now, and I also think it's important that people hear what the pastor had to say in terms of defending his remarks. So one of the things that the pastor said was, he said, I'm sure much of the negativity is due to the fact that they don't understand what I'm talking about. He said, anybody who thinks that Black America is all right as we are now is crazy. We are not all right. It's a lot of change that needs to occur. This change must come within us. If you don't agree with that statement, then you tell me who's going to make the change for us. If you don't agree with that statement, you tell me who's going to solve that problem if we don't. If you don't agree with what he said, then tell me where the cavalry's coming. Tell me where white folks have put $1 billion in a brigade behind solving problems in the Black community. You show me where they're solving the problem, and I will shut down. The fact of the matter is, ain't nobody solving the problem. So he's absolutely 100% correct. And what's happened is that because you are on the white man's nipple like this, you're sucking the Democratic Party's titties, you are sitting here completely dependent upon these other people to come and do something that they ain't never going to do. They are never going to come and solve your problems for you. You must do that yourself. He also says, nobody can give us things to eliminate where we are. We have to change from within ourselves. It is ludicrous for the church to not be involved. And that's right. Everybody who criticizes, rightfully so, some of these pastors, we might call them pimps in the pulpit and attack them and everything else. And sometimes that's true. You got some pimps in the pulpit. Ain't no lie about that. But you also got some real leaders in the pulpit. You also have in the Black church one of the few institutions in the Black community that's capable of raising large sums of money in a short period of time. You also have in the Black church a set of norms and traditions and a structure that does not exist anywhere else in the Black community. You used to have that when it came to education, but now you don't have that because now you're sending your kids to white people to be educated, and that's why they're coming out all fucked up. You used to have that when it came to business, but now you ain't got your own business. So you've gone from being bosses and owners to becoming employees and sidekicks. So the Black church, as flawed as it can be, as flawed as we know the church can be, is also one of our last beacons of hope when it comes to fighting and forming the necessary alliances to pull ourselves out of the mess that we're in. So what I say to you is this: look, the churches that ain't doing what they're supposed to do, criticize them, confront them, challenge them. But there's a lot of pastors out here that are getting the memo. I talk to pastors all the time, and they're like, "Well, Doc, you know, we don't like the fact that you cuss so much, but we like what you're saying." So I tell them, "Hey, I'm sorry. I wish I could stop cussing, but I can't help it. It just comes out. It just gotta comes out." And a lot of them are able to actually look past that, and they've invited me in their churches and allowed me freedom of speech. And as long as we're achieving the goal. I went to speak at a church in Kentucky, largest mega church in the state of Kentucky. It was a St. Stephen's church run by Dr. Kevin Cosby. You've heard me talk about him. I wanted to make a point about what hip hop was doing to the minds of our kids. And I said, "Hey, Pastor, I got to play this Lil Wayne clip, and it's going to have some real bad profanity in it. Is that okay?" He said, "Do what you got to do. It doesn't." He said, "That's fine, Doc. Go for it." You know, so I'm just sitting here trying to say to you, look, as much as we, and this man actually is fascinating. I'm looking at just everything I just said. This man literally said that something similar in his last couple sentences. Let me make sure I give the pastor justice and finish his quote. He said, "We have to change from within ourselves. It's ludicrous for the church not to be involved. The church is the only Bible institution we have in the African-American community. We must step up and turn our race around." If that's not what Black people need to hear, then I don't know what is. What the hell else would you have rather heard on that day? What, some more singing? Like we gonna sing about pink Cadillacs? Or we gonna just enjoy the fact that we having this big fancy funeral? And even though at least $10 million in Black wealth was given away by the fact that they didn't take the time to even write a will? Like seriously, and in fact, speaking on that issue, if Aretha had made a will and simply stated what her wishes were upon her death in terms of who should speak at her funeral, then we wouldn't have this issue. The guy wouldn't have been speaking if she had said, like, "I don't want this motherfucker at my funeral," right? So what I'm simply trying to say to you, Black people, is that, you know, what this man said was probably one of the few substantive things that was stated on that stage. Everybody else was into the superlatives, like, "Oh, Aretha was a great singer." Yeah, okay, that's great, but we got a lot of singers, and more great singers is not really going to solve the problem. Oh, yeah, we talked about RESPECT. Well, yeah, we know Black people ain't got no respect now. We kind of gave all that away because we wanted to sip the white man's ice because we thought his ice was colder, and he took the glass and slapped us in the face with it, and said, he said, "You now you have nothing, and you would need to serve us. So we ain't got no RESPECT." And I guess unless you become like a feminist or something, that became kind of the feminist anthem, but it can't be the Black people's anthem. Because if you had respect, you'd be able to pay your bills without begging your oppressor to do it for you. If you had respect, you'd be able to educate your own children without getting mad because some white lady from the suburbs ain't doing it right and is preparing your child for the penitentiary. If you had respect, then you could keep your own community safe and wouldn't have to wait for the government to come and fix everything for you. So where's the respect? You show me where the respect is, and I'll show you what typically amounts to nothing more than a bunch of symbolism. Colin Kaepernick's Nike ad, I love it. I love Kaepernick too. He's cool, but that's fucking symbolism, man. Ain't no Black person gonna eat better because Kaepernick is on the cover of a Nike ad. Ain't no Black person's life gonna get better because Colin Kaepernick got a new contract. I ain't dissing Kaepernick at all. This is not anti-Kaepernick, but at the end of the day, you got to have some substance up in this mug or we're gonna end up looking stupid forever. So that is why if I ever meet Pastor Jasper Williams, I'm going to tell him, "Good job, Black man." I'm gonna say it right now in front of everybody. And if you know him, send him this video, tell him I said good job, and also an even better job on standing firm. You can't have black men, our leaders, our strongest leaders. You know, our preachers are among our most respected members of the community, whether you like it or not. Pastors get a lot of respect. They're good old-fashioned sturdy men, and we don't have a lot of those in the community who just believe in like basic stuff like taking care of your family, being a tough man, not backing down to fear, things like that. I mean, these are some of our strongest men, and it is insulting to me when these men go speak their minds and do what they normally want to do, but then end up being forced to bow down and apologize like little bitches. You know, so the pastor who was in that crazy situation with Ariana Grande, who never should have been there anyway, I didn't like the fact that he apologized. I think I understood it. I understand it. I don't think it was weak, but I didn't like it. I was like, this is all made up. This is all something. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that something wasn't going on. I'm not trying to say that she didn't feel uncomfortable, but that wasn't her church anyway. She probably shouldn't have been there. She wasn't dressed appropriately and people didn't even like what she was doing. So really, truth of the matter is she was a guest. She was a guest. And I don't, so I'm really happy that this pastor was like, you know, they were like, oh, well, we're offended by what you said. He was like, oh, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's it. I like that. I respect that. He wasn't saying, oh, you're wrong. You need to feel the way I feel. He said, I'm sorry you feel that way. And that's what you do, black people. That's what you got to, that's the first step to your sovereignty. When somebody says, I don't agree with you, or I don't like what you said, or we're offended by your words, don't bow down and apologize for the truth. Just say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'd like to hear your perspective too. What is your point of view? Right? So, because at the end of the day, all those people might be mad, but they can't shut down. They can't refute what he said. He's right. It takes a black man to raise a black boy to become a black man. A white woman from the suburbs can't raise a black boy to be a black man. And a woman in general is not the best person to raise a black boy into a black man, because I am not the best person to raise my black daughters into black women. I can't do it. I don't know everything that goes into becoming a woman. Right. So he was right about that. You need the fathers in the household. We need to build our own businesses. We need to start thinking about all the killing in our communities is happening from black people. We need to start letting go of these ideologies that have turned us into a dependent culture. If we don't change that, then black people will suffer for the next 200 years. So keep that in mind. If we do not change that now, and everybody ain't gonna get it. So it's gonna be a strand of black people that are gonna change it, get it, and they're gonna be okay. But the masses of people who are falling for the nonsense, they're gonna have the same problems 50 years from today that they're having right now, because these white folks ain't never gonna fix your issues. They are never gonna fix your community. They're never gonna build your businesses. They're never gonna raise your children. You have to do that yourself. And if you can't do it yourself, then somebody else will be raising your kids. Somebody else will be profiting from your community. Somebody else will be showing up, dropping guns off and murdering your sons. Somebody else is going to be occupying your very thoughts on a day-to-day basis. Somebody else is going to be telling you what to do every day when you go to work. And it's up to you to decide if that's the future you want to have as black people. Well, I got to go, guys. Don't forget, All Black National Convention happens at the end of this month, September 27th in Philadelphia. You can either come out and get passes and come out, or you can check out the live stream. Go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Also, if you want to get your children into one of our children's programs, we have a great wealth building program for kids in the Black Business School. You can get the first month totally free to give it a try. We're teaching black children the fundamentals of investing, of real estate, and also entrepreneurship. We actually are just finishing the entrepreneurship program. You'll have access to that as well. I believe that we need at least 10,000 to really 100,000 children who are trained on entrepreneurship, because these are going to be the people that rebuild black institutions. We need to, Trump talked about making America great again. We need to make Black America great again, because after they finish making America great again, they're going to make America white again. And we need Black America to be black again. If we don't do that, then we're going to lose. We're not going to get ahead. We're not going to get to where we need to get to. So because of this, we must, as a community, commit ourselves to doing the things necessary to solve these problems. People who do not have a solution should not be the ones who are telling us what to do. The solution, the people with solutions should be the first ones to speak, and that's the way it has to be. I'm out of here, guys. Don't forget blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com if you want to check out the kids program. Also, allblacknationalconvention.com. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, thumbs up the video, share it with as many people as possible. We got to get the word out that freedom is on the menu if we want to go get it, but we're going to have to fight for that big piece of chicken. Ain't nobody going to give it to us easy, but we are fighters. We are warriors. We are great people. We survived the Middle Passage, so they really can't fuck with us. And that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. So take care, everybody. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Have a good day. Peace.